Unacademy. Let's crack it.
Hi all. Hi everybody. Good afternoon. So I am sure you are doing well and you're looking forward to all the answers. And here I am bringing one of the favorite topics of the examiner, geography. And apart from that, soon I will be talking to you about environment also. So I'm sure you are having a good time. I would just take my slides, the remote. Yes. So I'm sure you've been waiting for all this. So I will be talking about in general about the trend once I have started talking about the discussion. I'm sure from the link below you've got the question paper. Okay. So let us talk about this question which we have coming in. How is permaculture farming different from conventional chemical farming? Now I'm very sure that all the students who are looking at this, the question itself somehow distinguishes the two things. Suppose you do not know much about permaculture. So when they are pitted against each other, so one is permaculture versus conventional chemical. So it's like day versus night. So you can start making some guesses, and when we look at the options, those guesses also start working for us. So permaculture farming discourages monoculture practice. Oh yes, chemical is more about monoculture. Looks good to me. Yes. And second is conventional chemical farming can cause increase in soil salinity. Yes, it has caused a lot of increase in soil salinity. So that's also there. Yes. And then conventional farming is easily possible in semi-arid. Now this is some challenge that we have. Okay. So fourth one is practice of mulching is very important. So it's like a question related to whether we are going for organic farming, sustainable farming versus chemical farming. Do we get that? I am very sure that we also, when we are looking at this question, we also heard something about Sri Lanka going organic, and as a result Sri Lanka had issues with their food security and all that. So somewhere we are looking at questions this year also connected to the current occurrences also. So here we have gone for option number B, where number 3 has been one thing which we have questioned. Is everyone okay with this one? Okay. Now, conventional chemical farming is easily possible in semi-arid areas, but permaculture farming is not so easily. So when we are talking about not so easily, I think when we are talking about permaculture is something about agroclimatic suitability. So I'm very sure that dry crops can go with permaculture. So that is why the team goes for this. Is everyone okay with this? Okay. So let's go to the next one. Okay, 52. With reference to palm oil, consider the following statements. So when we are talking about palm oil, consider the following statements. Palm oil was in news because of the COVID. We saw a lot of restrictions and people not being able to import palm oil, and as a result we also saw some issues with the price rise in a lot of oil related edible oil and cosmetic related industry. So this question also I am very clear. I also see some contemporary relevance to this question, and geography and environment traditionally are related to what is happening around you. So that is what I feel that this answer, when we went for this answer, palm oil is a raw material for lipstick, not only lipstick, important cosmetic items. So this is absolutely correct. Palm oil can be used to produce biodiesel. Yes, it can be biodiesel. In fact, southern Indian states are getting into this palm oil cultivation, and I'm very sure one of the last month itself one of the cover page of Sunday newspaper on Hindu was about this expansion and the question on sustainability of that. So 2 and 3 are absolutely correct when it comes to the first one. So I want to tell you, native is somewhere it has grown. So native is somewhere where the crop has actually grown. So I feel that instead of this, the native is Africa. This was brought by the colonizers to this region. So that is why one has been ruled out. We've gone for number B. Is everyone clear with this? Okay. Going to the next question. With reference to India, Didwana, Kuchaman, Sargol, Khatu are the names of. Now, as I said, like people preparing for geography and environment must be very clear about that pictorial memory. Pictorial memory is important, and we are looking at pictorial memory. We are looking at something into which area have we heard these names. So, Digana, Didwana, Nimrana, Kuchaman, these are somewhere we hear in Rajasthan. These are names of lakes. These are famous lakes, and these are the names of those lakes. Is everyone clear with that? So, these are the names. So, the only confusion that would come there is glaciers, no, when we are eliminating them. So, no, they are not glaciers. I get that. Let me change the color. So, glaciers is ruled out, mangrove areas ruled out, and we are on the Ramsar sites. Now, this is one which would have confused a few people, and then saline lakes. Saline lakes is absolutely true, and not all of them are Ramsar sites. So, when we are talking about the Ramsar sites, we need to be clear about this fact that Ramsar sites are a very, very popular entry, and we have seen in the last 2 years how Ramsar sites have done, like India has added to those Ramsar sites, so we need to know about them. So, I am very, very sure in the popular names, these are not coming as Ramsar sites, so I would go for saline lakes. The location will tell me, the location will help me find out which area is this. Is everyone clear with this? Next is consider the following rivers. There's something when we are talking about our rivers, a little bit of peninsular India, if we draw that, almost in Odisha, we find these Brahmani and Subarnarekha ending over there. Yes, rivers, Mahanadi Delta around that region. So, when we are talking about their origin is, and when we are talking about Eastern Ghats, definitely it is going towards Odisha also, but this is not where these two rivers originate. So, the question is, which of the above rise from Eastern Ghats? So, 1 and 3 are not there. So, by elimination itself, you can come to this answer of 2. Is everyone clear with that? So, what I am trying to say here is, if you know something about the rivers, the job is done on that. Do we get that? Somebody is asking, where can we find the terminologies like permaculture and all? See, that depends upon, like what you are reading for the preparation of the examination. So, when we are talking about permaculture, so this is something basic agriculture has started to be asked in the question. Get that? Basic agriculture. So, I would strongly recommend that when we are reading the environment chapters, and especially from the unacademy material also, you will find such terms coming in. Get that? When you are reading chapters on soil, these terms will also be coming in. Do we get that? There is a famous UGC book which came published on environmental studies by Iraq Barucha. Yes, that book also talks about it. This is the common language for anyone who's preparing for geography nowadays with agriculture coming in. And I also want to add one more thing, since somebody has asked this question. Yes, Sambhavi, NCERT won't work for this. That is why I said, like a standard book which was prescribed as UGC curriculum. Yes, so there was a UGC committee. Dr. Iraq Barucha was the head of that. So that is a book, and a very elementary level book. Get that? So definitely, Shambhavi, it is not NCERT alone that can be working on that. Okay, one more thing, since we are talking about this, all students who are serious about clearing this examination, remember this thing, Indian Forest Service changes the game. For geography and environment, please remember, Indian Forest Service changes the game. And how does it change the game? It changes the game by giving some depth into questions based on agriculture, forest, and a little bit of science where it comes to the science of agriculture a little bit of these culture things, yes, and also the science of genetic engineering when it comes to forestry and plant breed and species. So that's where we are looking at some overlap coming between environment, geography and the role of forest services. So that has to be kept in mind. Get that? Definitely 11th and 12th NCERT, you have to go beyond that. Shambhavi says Khuller, well, you can go for Khuller, but if geography is not your optional, I think you don't need much of that. Do we get that? Chali, let us go to the next question. We would be coming up with detailed session on all this. So there I would like to take these questions, not here. The Global Oceanic Commission grants license for seabed exploration and mining in international waters. Now, everyone who has attended any GS class about oceans, the first and the most common question that comes is, who owns the oceans? So, who owns the ocean? Who owns the oceans? And this is the context. This question becomes the context of something called as UNCLOS. There is an international law. There is an international law which tells us who owns the oceans. So they have demarcated the territories, that how much part of the ocean is under the sovereign control of a coastal or a littoral state. Yes, and in that UNCLOS has a beautiful addition on that. What about seabed? Ocean bed. So anyone who is reading something about hydrosphere, some basics about hydrosphere, who owns the oceans? UNCLOS comes to your mind, United Nations Convention on Laws of Seas. So who is controlling them? That is the UN law, and there is an agency which was given the charge of looking into seabed, and that is called ISA, International Seabed Authority. International Seabed Authority is the agency that regulates, protects and does everything with the seabed. This is some deviation which the examiner has brought in, because everything is okay. If I put ISA over here, the International Seabed Authority grants licenses for seabed exploration and mining in the international waters, this statement would have been correct. And I'm like some of you might be wondering, yes, some of you might be wondering that, how many agencies do I remember? How many laws do I remember? No, I seriously want to tell you that anyone who is studying hydrosphere and oceans for the first time, two things: for the surface, UNCLOS; for the deep sea, ISA. Get that? Their headquarters is in Jamaica. People who don't know Jamaica, Usain Bolt comes from there. So that is what we are looking at. Is everyone clear on this? So this was the first statement goes wrong. Moment the first statement goes wrong, life becomes easy. Now, what is needed here is confidence. What is needed here is clarity. Again saying, like somebody just now asked, sir, ye to NCERT mein nahi, what sources? Now, this is where, we are looking at the examination. The examination, when you hear of NCERTs are supposed to give you the vocabulary of the subject. They are not an end all in that. At the same time, if you've not done NCERT, acceleration at higher levels will be limited. So NCERT has to be crossed. I think oceanography, when we teach in our material also, a very, very fair chapter on UNCLOS is given, an International Seabed Authority. So we need to have that. Do we get that? Somebody says focus on environment and ecology. Simple. I don't know. We will have environment and ecology questions also coming in, and this year the questions have been, I would say, I would rate them compared to the previous years much easier. Do we get that? So I think we got this. India has received licenses for seabed mineral exploration. Yes, we were in fact the first country to get licenses for mining polymetallic nodules in the Indian Ocean. Get that? And recently there is something called as there is a special region. There is a special region in the Pacific Ocean, where 12 countries were awarded licenses to extract polymetallic nodules by ISA, and India was one of them. So second statement is correct. Rare earth metals are present. You might have a doubt on that, but if you look at the options, well, you have to select more than one. So this is very clearly the answer that we have for you. The team is clear on this, that this should be the answer. Okay. This we have done, the reverse we have done. Okay. So this also comes from the ocean. Generally, we have seen, if you ask me from geography, I believe that more questions were coming from atmosphere. More questions were coming from atmosphere. But this time, I see questions from hydrosphere and also an interface on them. So this question is a fusion question of atmosphere as well as hydrosphere. So what is in this? Let us look at this. So the tropical zones, let me make something for you. Maybe that reminds you, and especially my students who have attended my classes, you would remember this. And people who don't know how to draw a world map, for you also life is easy. These are two hypothetical continents. Yes, this is equator and this is 30 degrees and this is 60 degrees. This is 30 degrees and this is 60 degrees. So what we are looking at is 30 degrees, the trade winds are flowing. 60 degrees, the westerlies are flowing. So this question is about the oceans, not land, and it is saying in the tropical zone. Remember tropical, this is the tropical zone. In the tropical zone, the western section of oceans are warmer than the eastern section. So this part is warm. Okay. And in the temperate zone, which is 30 to 60, the westerlies make the eastern section of the oceans warmer. So this is warm. That's a fact. That eastern side of the oceans are warmer here. So in the tropical latitudes, the western ocean, and when I say western, please get this. This is not for Indian Ocean, this is not for Pacific Ocean, this is not for Atlantic Ocean, this is for all oceans. What is happening is the trade winds are pushing the warm water to the west. The warm water gets piled up over here. Get that? I'm sure people who are preparing for this examination, you've heard of the El Nino phenomena also. So you saw and you've seen that on the western side, the warm water is piled up near Australia and Indonesia. And when that pile is lost, that is the situation called El Nino. So this is definitely the winds have a role to play. I also want to tell you that these winds also cause upwelling in these areas where we have the cold water coming in. So definitely the first statement is absolutely correct. Going by the same logic, if your concepts are clear, you can very well see that in the temperate zone, because the winds have changed, this warm water takes a turn and it should have gone towards the pole. But you know that when it comes into this belt, this warm water is forced to turn to the right and this warm water is coming over here. A famous question which has been often asked is, why Murmansk, a Russian port, is free of ice for 12 months? And all of you have heard that it is the warmth brought by the Gulf Stream and the North Atlantic Drift which makes European winters milder as well as more rainfall over there. Same logic but applied over here. So I would rather go for both of them. Using the same logic, both of them would be my entry. Is everyone clear on this? Okay, so let's move further. In the context of India's preparation for climate smart agriculture, consider the following statement. So a country like India with a huge population and the kind of food security that we are looking at, we really need to focus on our agriculture. And it is the tropical belt which is taking the worst of the climate change. No matter what is happening, the tropical belt is going to take one of the worst hits. And if you look at India, its vulnerability, or probably there is an international climate vulnerability index, and India is amongst the top 10. So India needs to somewhere secure its agriculture, and that is the context of this question. I am sure an NCERT student is not being told about this, yes or no? I am sure you need to rise above this. Can I say this is an overlap of whatever is happening contemporarily with the situation in India. Climate Smart Village approach in India is a part of the project led by Climate Change, Agriculture and Food Security and International Research Program. Well, that's a true statement. The project of CCAFS is carried under the consultative group of International Agriculture Research headquartered in France. So if you ask me, the topic which we teach, and this is definitely an overlap, as I said, between forestry, yes, environment and geography. So somewhere we are looking at that. So let me start somewhere here, that CCAFS, when we are talking about, is under the consultative group of International Agriculture Research. This is the first thing. So anyone who's reading about agriculture today, we need to know about the initiatives on agriculture also. I would say that 5 years ago I was talking about you should know about international initiatives on forestry in the world. Forestry in the world, but today I would strongly recommend that even agriculture initiatives in the world must be known. Very clear. In the last 3 years, they have really taken this question to the other part also. Is everyone clear on this? So, this is the consultative group which is talking about international agriculture research. Yes. Under this, we have climate change, agriculture and food security. This is a research program under this. Second part. Okay. Under this program, India has adopted a climate smart village approach. Climate smart village approach. So that is what we are talking about. And is any of the Indian agencies, research agencies a part of it? Because India is part of this initiative. So is anyone involved? Yes. A very important institute called ICRISAT, International Crop Research Institute for Semi-Arid Tropics in India, is one of the research centers. Now, if you ask me to rate this question, I would say not easy. I would definitely say not easy. Yes or no? Are we clear on this? So, this is going to be all three, and see, I am very clear that this examination is about playing to your strength. Playing to your strength. If you have done traditional agriculture, but if you have not done agriculture with the current affairs perspective, you might be stuck on this. So, all students who are planning to appear for the next year also, do not make it a status issue कि ये करना है. यहाँ पे I know there were doubts. Yes. Next. So this is answer number is D. All three are correct. The vegetation of savanna consists of grasslands with scattered small trees. Now the question is coming from biomes. The question comes from biomes. In fact, 2 questions have come from biomes. So people who are talking about NCERT, I would say a book, important book, G.C. Leong comes into picture. So G.C. Leong comes into picture, and I would very clearly say that biomes chapters have been done profoundly by that book. Biomes chapter has been done profoundly by that book. Another, as I told you, like that UGC curriculum which they prepared under Bharucha. So that also is very comprehensive on this. Now everyone pay attention to this. So savanna are a grassland. You've heard of something called as park landscape. Park landscape. So what is park landscape? Just like your community parks, you have grass, yes, and a few trees here and there. That is what savanna is about. So savanna is a transition between forest on the wetter side and desert on the drier side. So desert is arid and forest is humid. So we are in a semi-arid area. In semi-arid areas, the rainfall becomes a determining factor which does not allow the trees to grow or flourish. So rainfall is a limiting factor. Now the fact is the rainfall somewhere in savanna would be around 70-80 centimeters. 70-80 centimeters. So can there be trees? Well, only small short trees would be there. So generally a savanna would look like probably a few trees here and there, and rest is all grassland. Now the question is a very interesting question they have asked, that but extensive areas have no trees. So why the trees are not there? The forest development in such areas is generally checked by something. So who's stopping the forest to grow? Who's stopping the forest to grow? So in such areas is generally kept in check by one or more or a combination of some conditions. So now this is something which I would say is a very, very popular one, and we need to understand that what stopped it. So one thing which very, very normally comes if you read G.C. Leong, even the NCRTs, that savannas, their natural nutrient cycling is based on annual fires. So savannas will catch fire. When savannas catch fire, the grasses catch fire, will the tree burn? Big chance that the tree would burn, but generally these are the species are such that they are fire resistant. So they would survive, but they cannot grow gregariously. So that density of the forest cannot be there. So it's a check on the density of forest, but yes, some trees can survive. So fire is definitely an answer. And I am sure you have heard that savanna is the cradle of human civilization. Human civilization came from savannas. Yes or no? So in fact, it is said the first fire which we learnt, that was in savannas. It is also said that humans got the taste of cooked meat because of savannas. So the fire is very, very significant thing over there. Ecological role of nutrient cycling, and another ecological role which the question highlights, that it does not allow, it's a natural control against the forest becoming dense. So fire is there, definitely there. Now I told you why the trees are not there. Why the trees are not there? Because trees are on the humid side. Trees and cactus are on the arid side. So trees require certain amount of water, and especially on the tropical belt. Savanna is a tropical belt, 0 to 30. It's warm. Remember, which season do you drink more water? Summers or winters? It's summers, no. So warm area, your water demand is high. So can I say water will also decide the limit of that. So 2 are there, 2 and 4 are there. I see 2 and 4. Burrowing animal stopping the trees. I have a serious doubt on this. Soil properties, well, soils, as I said, no, it is more of a function of the moisture and the fire over there. Get that? So that's there. So I was left with taking herbivores. So grazing herbivores, what can they do? Probably the seeds and everything that can be there. So I would go for, or the team has chosen to go for 2, 3 and 4. Is everyone clear on this? So we're going for C. With reference to water on planet Earth. So all the people who were wondering, will NCRT help or not? I'm sure you have all seen the pie chart. The pie chart which is there on NCRT about water. That only 3% is fresh water. NCRT says water is a resource, is a scarce resource in plenty. So only 3% is fresh water, 97% is what? 97% is salt water. Most of us know that. UPSC went a step further. They asked us a breakup of this 3%. So that is what makes this question a little like requiring you to read your NCRTs well. So if you have not read your NCRT well, definitely there is going to be a question. Now this 3% also, I would say around 68%, 68.7% or 20 or 2/3 are in ice cap. I don't need any other information. This we must be knowing, and if we know this, the answer is there. Let us read that. Amount of water in the rivers and lakes is more than the amount of groundwater. Okay, so I need one more information. So my another information is around 30%, 30.1% is groundwater. So the two big chunks when we are talking about water, fresh water, which we all need to consume to survive, there is hardly any water. There is hardly any water which is easily available to us. So ice caps take a huge amount, 2/3, and almost 1/3, slightly less than 1/3 goes to groundwater. And then comes rivers. So here, this was a clear question coming from NCRT only, and within that we have very, very clearly seen that this is not a difficult question at all. And as I said, these sitters, people will make mistake in this also. Now, if a question on that, remember that ICRISAT which I was talking about, agriculture, which many of you don't know, those questions will not fail you. Because most people have doubts on that, and if we have to play safe, if we are willing to probably skip 10 or 15 questions in out of 100, I think that one qualifies. That one qualifies. Chhod do usko. That I plan to leave that. I do get that. Not this one. Because the moment you lose this one, others are one step ahead of you. And after all, it's a competition. After all, it's a competition. So this is something which was very, very basic. Pure NCERT material, pure NCERT material. In fact, I would say anything you read, any book you read, any reference book, any material book, say for example, an academic material, ye aayega aayega. This is like the very, very basic things of, like the distribution of water and this thing. And can we see, planet Earth water has been an important theme. 3 questions have come. 3 questions have come about the oceans. Yes. And this also should be seen as part of that only. So, groundwater is more than rivers, and ice caps are more than that. Amount of water in polar ice cap is more than the amount of glaciers. So this is there. Looking at this, I am okay with the second statement. My answer is B, bravo. Is everyone okay with that? So answer is B, bravo for this question. Okay, let's go to the next question. Black cotton soil have been formed due to weathering off. Now, so can we rate this as a difficult question? Isn't it a sitter? Isn't it a sitter? Which source? This area. This area has got black soil. Anyone who's read any part of physical geography, I would say class 11th part 2. Class 11th part 2 tells us that this is the area which is called the Deccan Lava Trap. Deccan Lava Trap. It says this is a place where fluid basaltic lava had erupted. So basaltic lava, just to give you an idea that if you've heard of eruptions, if you've heard of volcanoes, the idea that comes to our mind is that volcano is something that erupts and a huge mountain and clouds. But there are violent volcanic eruptions and there are silent ones also. And silent ones are the ones which are a free flowing magma. Magma which is basic, which has low silica content. Low silica content which has more metallic content, and basalt is one of them. So Indian plate, when it was moving from the Gondwana land and coming towards Angara land, yes, if you read a little bit of that, we passed over a hot spot called Reunion Hotspot, and that led to the creation. So this is the backdrop of this. Coming to the question, what is it? So definitely it is about weathering. What is weathering? Weathering is some kind of rocks. The question is on rocks and they are talking about soil. Soil is definitely what? By definition, the upper weathered layer of earth supporting or capable of supporting life. Get that? So this is upper weathered layer, but weathering of what? Weathering of soil with soil? Means one soil weathers to give other soil? No, absolutely ruled out. Now we are left with 3 types of rocks. Now, sir, I am not very well versed with the rocks. Absolutely okay. You know something about probably igneous rock, sedimentary rocks, metamorphic rock. But you don't know about granite, you don't know about schist, you don't know about shale, limestone, you don't know much. And in fact, the catch is, you don't have to know these rocks. You only had to know what is a fissure. Fissure is a gap. Fissure is a gap from which some volcano comes out. Fissure is a linear gap from which fluid magma comes out and it solidifies, and one layer on the other layer, on the other layer, on the other. The key was here. That's what we are looking at. You should develop an eye to find out the right answer rather than getting distracted with what are not right. So I really don't know much about granite and schist. I can believe, means I know about it. You may not know much about it. These people also don't know about it. But this one, fissure, tells me the same thing. So there was a crack in this area. And through those fissures, what has come? Basalt has erupted. And that basalt, So the rock name is called basalt. Just in case you do not know that the rock is called basalt, it's absolutely okay. But the fissure eruption. So basalt is a softer rock, easy to erode, and I would say granite and schist, little bit since you are here, they are more giving us red soils. These are crystalline rocks, so they give us more on red soils. Do we get that? So my answer is B. Bravo. I'm sure all students who applied their logic, ये answer आ गया होगा. ये गलत नहीं करना. This answer should not go wrong. If this answer goes wrong, our entry ticket to mains, it's like your entry ticket to IPL match is lost because of that. So again saying, if I may go back, if I may take the liberty of going back, climate smart agriculture, if you do not know the answer to this question, the world doesn't end. The world doesn't end. If you are confused that where will I get this, the world doesn't end. But if you miss on this one, that's allowing others to go ahead of you. Do we get that? So these were some questions. If I look at the analysis, so rivers were there. We saw lakes coming in, so natural water bodies. I'm sure if you've read the syllabus of UPSC, it says geophysical phenomena and landforms. UPSC syllabus, geophysical phenomena and landforms, where they specifically say water bodies and ice caps. If you read the syllabus, so they have been true to that. They have asked questions on rivers, they've asked questions on lakes, they've asked questions on agriculture, they've asked questions on some, I would say hydrosphere was a favorite. I don't expect 3 questions coming from there. Yes or no? Through invisible over rote learners. So rote learning is something, out of fear we have this tendency that, like students actually prefer this, that the teacher made me mug up in the class itself. I don't know whether you got an opportunity to mug it up. And I'm saying, like a very good question. I would be discussing them in this thing, in the environment. I'll soon be coming with environment. If I'm looking up at this one, what is there to mug it up? And how can you mug it up? This is a concept which has been applied. Look at this vegetation of savanna. Logic. I'm saying, and another one, like since we are talking about it, I'm saying students ask us, sir, do we have to read the books? Isn't this a kind of a book extract? Isn't this a kind of a book extract? So if you're a person who's into reading, and not only reading comprehension, you will do well in civil services GS paper. Otherwise, you will not be able to even complete the paper. These options are lengthy. I would say geography, for that matter, the options were smaller. But when I looked at the questions on history, when I looked at questions on polity and economics, there were so many, like sentences which would take a lot of time and you require a lot of concentration to even understand them. So do not be averse to reading them, and I would say, your educators are very clear about what not to be read, but at the same time, do not try to skip things which are to be read. Those are to be mandatorily read, and I would say we at least allow us to pass on base books to you. Say for example NCERT and like our material, stick to that, read that, get into the habit of reading and interpreting. So that's what we are looking at in this. So this is the geography section, and if I may look at the trend, some trend analysis was also there. Okay, did I skip this question? Okay, with reference to the Indus river system, following 4 rivers, 3 of them pour into one. I'm sure you have seen this. This is Indus river. If I skip this, so the team says the answer is D delta in this. So this is our river Indus. This is the river Indus. Get that? Somewhere originating, yes, Lake Mansarovar, Tibet. Enters India, exits India. Enters India, exits India. So can I say truly international river, India, Tibet, Pakistan. When we are looking at its systems, so here we have a river called Jhelum. Its tributary Kishan Ganga. Get that? After Jhelum, what do we have? Chenab, Ravi, and here another river, Satluj, comes. So this is Satluj river coming in. And to Satluj we have the river Bias joining. So Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi. Now this Jhelum river, now it's in Pakistan. And Jhelum joins Chenab, Ravi joins Chenab, and finally Chenab joins Indus. Satluj. And after this, this stretch is called Panchnad river. After their confluence, this stretch is called Panchnad river. The question is saying which, with reference to the following 4 rivers, 3 of them pour into one of them, which joins the Indus direct. Get that? 3 of them pour into one of them. So can I say Jhelum? Jhelum pours into Chenab, so number 1. Get that? Ravi pours into Chenab, number 2. Chenab itself finally pours into Satluj, which joins eventually Indus. So though in Pakistan we call it Panchnad, I would say amongst the following, which one is such river that joins the Indus direct? So this is there, which is going to go direct in this. So we have gone for answer D delta. Is everyone clear? Get that? Palm we talked about, permaculture we've talked about. So palm is something which you should have done, and as I said, elimination was very much possible in this. So this is what we had about our geography discussion. The trend analysis which I could and I should be talking about in general, I said once I am done with the discussion, I will be talking about the trend. So geography seems to have gone up. Geography seems to have gone up this year. Yes. Now I really want to tell you, do not get into the trap. Do not get into the trap. I was here at the starting of this discussion. I think the mean of this year has been very, very good. They have uniformly divided almost across all leading areas, be it history, geography, environment. Geography, environment collectively is more or less constant. It has not increased. So please, I would not unnecessarily say, no, put all your eggs in geography. No, geography and environment continues to be a strong area, which is almost 1/4 of your preparation. It continues to be that. If geography also happens to be your optional, you stand an advantage provided you are not just thinking of making it your optional, you've already read for it. It will make a huge difference. Now, what is this? I would say these are spikes. If you look at the average, this is the average. So I don't expect geography to get more than 8 questions. 8 to 10 is my average. So I am very much in that average. And for environment, I am into 15. 15 to 17 is my average. So this is what comes. So I would say the trend has been more or less there. I don't know about, other educators, because they have been able to assess their subject. When I'm talking about geography, I think it was a very, very good opportunity to score a lot. I do understand that ICRI sat 1. एक दो छोड़ देगा, 1 or 2 you left, no problem. But where it was to be grasped should not be left. So that is one thing which I say, that this has gone good for us. Get that? I am sure if you have any questions, you can ask us on this. Get that? Okay. What to do for geography? Something, like most of you are preparing for this examination, what to do for geography. Please do not fight these 2 books. NCERT class 11th, part 1 and part 2. Do not fight these books. Do not be lazy with them. Read them. Read them. They will give you access to many, many questions. They will give you access to many, many questions. One class I am talking about. I am not even going to 12th standard. 12th standard is a lot of human geography, which is probably I would rate it more for my optional students. That's there. 2 books. Is it a big demand, for your dreams? You're talking about, making your dreams real. 2 books, and the third book is GC Leong. You do this, we are there. The educators have all the material. Unacademy's material support has got all the comprehensive coverage to meet everything else. Get that? Done with this? Go on a blitzkrieg, on a wildfire on test. I'm saying 8 questions. 8 questions coming in the examination. 10 questions coming in the examination. 12 questions coming in the examination in geography. You have a chance of extracting 80 to 85% correct. It's a huge accuracy over there. Number 1. Second is, sir, I am a humanities student. Sir, I am a commerce student. Yes? How will I optimize it? I am saying, no matter what you are, the subject is so secular. Sarva Dharma Sambhav. You don't need that. I was looking at the questions. I was looking at the questions from science. The kind of genetics they were there. Science and tech. I am a science student. I am a life science student. I really found them challenging. So extracting accurate answers in that is like a very big challenge. I clearly could see, that's a very big challenge. Here, you just shared with me, nikal sakta hai. You can very well get 80% in this. So if we are looking at something that can give us, 8 to 9 correct answers, 8 to 9 correct answers, why not? It is something worth investing. And I'm saying 3 books. 3 books and a very structured, guidance by your teacher. Follow that in a comprehensive manner, results will come. Sir, is GC Leong in English or Hindi medium? Absolutely English, bache. It was written for the curriculum, international curriculum. So that's there. Get that? Sir, 8 questions. Do you think, sir, really possible this time in geography? Trust your preparation. Trust your preparation. Let's look at it. Now, since somebody has asked this question, let us look at this. Permaculture. Possible tha? Only because of the word permaculture versus chemical. A serious student knows that. 1, done. Okay. Just because somebody said, so this is what we are looking. 1, done. Palm oil, done. Palm oil was done. Yes or no? This is there. It's native to Southeast Asia. Again, probably I may be biased. We teach our students, where were the origins of major species. So yes, I can say half sure about it. So still 1 is there. Second is Indus River. Possible? 2. Third, Kuchaman. 3. Fourth, Brahmani. 4. 4.5 is my score. Okay, 8 is what you are talking about. Global Commission grant license. Absolutely normal. Absolutely normal question. 5. 5.5 correct. Come on, yeah. This is a sitter. 6. 6.5. 7. This I understand many of you would skip. Done. Given to you. All credit to you. 7.5 we are operating on that. Savannah, possible or not? I'm being very realistic. I'm just not giving you stories on this. So we are looking at almost touching 8. With reference, come on yaar, NCERT. 9. Black cotton. 10. So somebody asked me, sir, was it possible to get 8 questions? Yes, 10.5. 10.5. And if you really felt that it is possible, can you raise your hands? Can you say a Y over there in the comment section? In the comment section, can you put a Y that this year I could see you are an aspirant who's preparing for this examination. I could see that in geography from the sources which I already know. See, I did not disrespect that question which was difficult. I am aware with you it is very much possible. You can see for yourself in the comment, any serious aspirant could see very easily we were getting 8. And I think one question we have skipped in this, maybe like it was missing on that. And trust me, I am very confident on geography, very confident on geography. When it comes to environment, I moderate it down. I'm a very realistic teacher on that, because I believe that prelims is not the place. Prelims is not the place where you will take the examiner off his or her feet. Prelims is a entry ticket to IPL. Either to play on your strength. Play on your strength. Whatever your weakness is, protect yourself. Protect yourself. Get that? But when it comes to environment, I am a little moderate on that, because the spectrum is wide, number one. And second, let's be very, very fair. Let's be very, very fair on this, that Indian Forest Service does a lot of change to environment. So it has raised the bar. Get that? So let me look at any question, if we left any of the questions. So from my side, okay. So from my side, these things are done, and I was so glad to see. Like so many Ys coming in, and you are just beginners. And I am not joking that this is a fluke this year. I am saying it is a very, very constant high which we are getting. So I'll just refresh this slide for you. This is the trend which we were talking about, 8 to 12, it has gone up on that, but as I showed you, the trend didn't matter there. So I'm sure you've been waiting for all your teachers. Somebody asked me just now, sir, how about environment? For a beginner, which book must be read? For environment, just give me like some more time, because my economy teacher wants to talk to all of you, and he wants to give you the answers to a very, very challenging area, economy, along with that strategy, and then I will come back with environment. So I'll definitely give you the books on that.